Hi, Tana. It's Justin.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm having my coffee and sitting back in the air conditioning and
that's a good feeling.
Enjoying life.
So you're from Newark originally, correct?
I was born in Newark, New Jersey. I was raised in a little small town called Westfield.
Westfield,
that's where I was raised.
And I've read that you were trained in opera from age 5.
My grandmother, Ella Jones, she was a professional opera singer. And so she started training me.
Okay.
That was her aspiration. Hey,
yeah.
I'm going to have another diva in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Little did she know.
Oh, yeah, I know. So that was your first musical exposure, was to opera?
Actually, I started singing Message to Michael by Dion.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I started singing.
So I also read you had started your own group, Tana and the Darnetts, when you were around 8 or something.
Months ago. Actually, I was out with the Darnetts the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was my sister and my cousin, Kate, Charlena, who married my cousin, who's a bishop now.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then we all had we were at a family reunion together, and we just look at each other and say, oh, my God. I had a show earlier that day at the Meadowlands.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it.
And I did that one, and then I went straight to the family reunion, and those guys were there, too.
So what kind of things did you guys do back then when you were kids in this group? What?
Oh, man.
Was it something
Ain't
you
no
just...
Mountain High Enough. We used to do Tammy Terrell. We used to do, The Emotions all the time. But the biggest one that we won a couple of competitions with was from the Sparkle.
If You Look in Your Heart?
Oh, no, we used to do...
Giving them something.
Why not shake it? Don't get mad and get flaky. Do-do-do.
Oh, yeah.
There's a dance you don't know.
Right.
Gonna show you how it goes.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Oh, yeah, and then
I love that movie.
Giving him something he can feel. My sister Jada, she used to do the lead on that one.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that movie, like with Iron Cara in it.
That was like the beginning for me to know that I definitely was going to the studio to record. I used to take the bus to the theater. And I saw this movie 7 times while it was in the theater. Oh,
that's great, yeah.
And I studied and I studied. And the moment I went into the studio with Kenton, I had no idea, except the only memory I could absorb or pull back on.
Oh, yeah, it was that scene in the movie.
The scene in the movie in the studio.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, God, this has got to be everything I need tonight.
I know.
And that's what I pulled from.
That's really cool.
Because I had seen this movie so numerous amounts of times.
It was ingrained in you.
I actually worked, and that was my money went to see Sparkle.
Wow.
I can't remember how old I was. I won't tell that.
Yeah.
But I was younger than Irene Cara, and I would sit there and go to work, and I would sit there and count up how much money I got on my paycheck and how many times I could go
to see Sparkle. Wow.
Okay.
That's so funny. But you were involved in theater growing up too, like the Harlem Children's Theater. So how did you get involved in that, and what kind of things did you do?
Again, she. My grandmother, actually my aunt, was the founder of the Harlem Children's Theater.
Really?
What
was her name?
My uncle's wife. And she had...
Do you remember her name?
Gwen Jones.
Okay, Gwen.
Or alias Aduke Aremu.
Oh, okay, cool.
That was her African name, that she went to Africa and actually went through a ceremony and got this name. And actually, I have some actual old pictures from us actually being at Lincoln Center doing my first play.
Does the Land of the Egyptians?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, and
which you co-wrote, I read.
One of the writers, let's say. She said, okay, why don't you bring Tana to Harlem and let her get a little small part in the theater, because we're missing a lot of kids because it's summer. And so I said, okay. My grandma said, okay, I'll bring her. Well, as time, I read the script, and I had a little small part. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this little part. And I was like, oh gosh, I can't stand this. I'm going to have to say this like 80 minutes into the play.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Well, I wrote some things in the play for myself, which I memorized and added it on to the high priestess position.
Oh, really?
Because I wanted to do something that would make them want me to do the part.
Oh, yeah.
And so I wrote a whole nother piece of the script. Plus, I learned everything the high priestess had to say. And I memorized it in less than 24 hours. I did not sleep.
Wow.
And so I wrote, and I changed, and I intertwined. And then when I got to the rehearsal, she's like, okay, Tana, it's your part. And I said, well, I can do this, but I just want you to see something I did last night. I was 11 years old. She said, oh, my God.
That's great.
So before you knew it, Tana was the high priestess.
Oh, yeah. Now, also, your name, it came from something Egyptian, right? Or
Ethiopian.
Ethiopian, okay.
Yes, Tana is the name of a lake.
Oh, okay.
In Ethiopia.
All right.
It is the source of the River Nile.
Right.
And the River Nile, if you know anything about it, it goes upstream. So it is the only upstream river known to mankind. And the source at the bottom, where Ethiopia is, it goes up.
Oh, okay.
It moves up. So I thought that was very poetic. My mother and my father.
Yeah, definitely. And so you progressed into more theater with the National Black Theater and the Dance Theater of Harlem. And what kinds of work was that? Was that touring, or was it just was that when you were a teenager? Or
workshops and touring. I did a lot of workshops and touring with them. Okay. And actually, with the Harlem, with the Dance Theater of Harlem, I was part of they had a chorus, choir, which was Angela Bofield was in that choir. She was one of the people that came out of there, and myself, and quite a few other people, but I just can't remember those two.
So how did you end up breaking into the music industry, per se, coming from theater? I mean, I know you did a lot of session work at some point, I guess, in the 70s with people like McFadden, Whitehead, Kool and the Gang.
No. I didn't. My first experience in the studio was with Kenton.
That was the first one in the
very first.
Okay.
And then I ended up working with actually, while I was in that session with Kenton, Dr. Buzzard and his original Savannah band,
right?
August Darnell and Sugar-Coated Andy. The guys from that group were there in a session. They were getting ready to have their session was after the Work That Body session. And they overheard me singing, and they were saying, can you get her to do some background?
Oh, okay.
So I'm sitting there saying to myself, okay. They said, Tana, you can make, like $200 an hour. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I remember my little paycheck.
Right.
I remember, I would work all week and didn't bring home $200, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I did a 17-hour session with them. And it ended up being an actual album that went platinum with them. It was called the Aural Exciters, featuring Taana Gardner. Ended up doing all the leads.
Okay.
It's actually, it went platinum. I have a copy of it.
Was that one on RCA?
No, it wasn't. It was on Z Records out of London.
So how was it you met Ken at an airport or something, I read?
I was a friend of his brother's. But I never met Kenton.
Okay.
And it was one time I was at the airport meeting his brother, actually. I was going to pick him up.
This was in New York, like at LaGuardia or something?
At LaGuardia. And I was picking his brother up from the airport, and I saw Kenton. And they look so much alike. It's just one's a little taller than the other.
Right.
I said, oh, my God, this has got to be his brother.
Yeah, right.
So I went up to him, and I introduced myself, and he says, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He saw some chick coming on to him.
Yeah.
Oh, don't be so full of yourself, Kenton.
I know.
He's like, oh, hey, baby. I was like, yeah, how are you? I said, you look so much like your brother. He says, I should have known you knew my brother. He's like, well, you look good. And I said, thank you. I said, well, hopefully one day in the near future I'll get to see you again.
Right.
I said, it was so nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And he just like, wait a minute, wait. I said, goodbye, goodbye. And I walked away from him. Next time I see Kenton is in the studio doing Work That Body.
That's so funny.
Is that the weirdest thing you ever heard?
But
and you just got the real scoop, because everybody was telling, I guess they used to think that story wasn't exciting enough. And they said, tell people this other story. He overheard me singing in the airport.
Oh, okay.
I was like, hold it there.
Yeah, you're like singing on the Friendly Skies or something.
Okay, please.